Hi, with us today is Kelly Eubanks with Unite Against the War on Women. Kelly, how are you?
Doing great today.
It seems kind of weird to say this, but in 2012, there's actually still a sort of war on women. Not sort of. There actually is a war on women in the United States, and lately it's slipped into high gear from just contempt into what seems like outright hatred in some parts of the country.
Exactly. In this past year, there's been over 1,100 bills that have been brought forth in regards to women's reproductive rights, and I've heard a few people make the argument, well, there's no war on women right now, and I think 1,100 bills in the past year. That's almost 3 bills a day. That these policymakers are coming up with that are going to restrict and limit women's healthcare and reproductive choices. And
It's like the attack of the men with bad haircuts.
exactly.
It's like now for a lot of people in this country, because nightly news really concerns itself mainly with dancing pandas and smiling cats and kids in a tree. Most of what people knew was the Sandra Fluke testimony before Congress and Rush Limbaugh,
Right.
when he spoke about her. But really, it's been going on about this. It's been going on for a long time.
It has. Well, before this last year, there was 900 bills.
Yeah.
Not much better. The whole Rush Limbaugh incident. Honestly, he did all of us a huge favor because he's galvanized all of us, and I mean, he basically threw gasoline on a fire that was already starting to burn. And you can't go, before a national audience and call a woman who uses contraception a slut, which is what he said, and not expect there to be any repercussions to it. I think that was kind of a wake-up call for many of us. Say, you know what, this is enough. Like
it seems like, and Rush Limbaugh and his acolytes seem so surprised there was any blowback from it.
I think a lot of that is put on for show. I really don't think that. I mean, they couldn't possibly be surprised. I mean, they can pretend like they are, but I think they knew what they were doing. They thought they were going to get away with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like these bills being passed. It's like these legislators and stuff that are coming up with some of these absolutely obscene and crazy things. They're just throwing stuff at the wall to basically see what sticks.
Don't these guys realize that more women vote than men do in this country now?
Apparently not. Although I think maybe the Republican Party and some on the GOP side are going, whoa, maybe we're making a big mistake here. And in my opinion, the damage is already done. I mean, women are paying attention now.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some radically extreme bills lately too. I mean, there have been hundreds of bills that have been raised, but in the last few months, especially, there have been just their bills have been nasty. They've been
very
horrific.
extreme bills. In Pennsylvania, there's it's basically being called the transvaginal ultrasound bill, where women are being ordered to be state mandated probed, before, and that's even for rape victims, which that could be extremely traumatic. There's a woman named Rainey Gibbs. I believe it's in Mississippi or Georgia, one of the deep South states. She's been charged with murder. She tried to commit suicide, and she was pregnant, and they're charging this woman with murder, which it's absolutely crazy. It's there's the Blunt Amendment, which is basically stating that your employer would have say over your reproductive choices and whether or not you could take contraception. And I personally have a huge problem with that, not just from a reproductive choice standpoint, but there are people like my little sister. She has a life-threatening condition, which she has to have birth control for. And without it, she ends up in the hospital. She could die.
Now, that's what Sandra Fluke's testimony dealt with. Now, can we go into that a little bit?
Sure.
Now, what was Sandra Fluke's testimony about when she spoke about that?
Hers was basically, a few points was about the cost, which I've heard people say, oh, birth control, you can get it at Walmart for $9. That's no, you can't. I have a receipt of my own. It was $86 for 1 month.
Wow.
It's not cheap. There's people like the one that my sister's on, her birth control runs $120 to $140 a month.
Yeah.
These are things that insurance should cover. And that was the point Sandra Fluke was, I think, trying to make was.
And it's not just, and for a lot of these guys, they dismiss it as just women just wanting to have sex.
Right, and that's not it at all. There's so many, and I mean, the medical science community has come out and said this over and over. There's so many other uses for birth control and contraception.
Yeah.
It's not just for preventing pregnancy anymore. I mean, there's endometriosis, there's ovarian cysts, there's hormonal problems that women have. There's all sorts of things. I mean,
Right.
I have a friend that's a hemophiliac that has to be on birth control so she doesn't bleed and die.
Right.
You know, so it's
Now, it's in Arizona now. There's a bill going through the House, going through the state government that said employers can ask women why they're on birth control.
yeah, and they can even, from what I understand, they can actually fire
Yeah.
women if they disagree with their reasons.
I know if it's actually you're using birth control because what, you don't want to have a baby,
I know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I don't know what's happening in this country. Like I said, I think maybe some of it is they're trying to throw all this crazy stuff at the wall to see what sticks, and it's a lot of this is backed by, well, two groups: the religious fundamentalists and evangelicals, some of which are
Right.
they're extremists. I'm sorry, but they are. And then the other side is the people that are against the new healthcare changes.
Yeah.
There's a huge group, that's also helping push all this through.
And they stir up the pot, and they get people who they stir up the cries of freedom and liberty,
Right.
and people who don't really know anything about the healthcare bill
Right.
go on with that, and they don't realize how the healthcare bill will help them or affect their lives.
I don't think not sure if they care.
No.
They're more interested in all the fear mongering and,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, government, government's going to make decisions for your health care. Well, what's happening to women in this country?
Well, there was a cartoon in the Democrat Gazette a few weeks ago. It was like, what's more important? And they had birth control pills on one side and the Constitution on the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it was so simplistic. It's like they couldn't understand. The cartoonist couldn't even understand the issue.
Yeah.
But a lot of this, a lot of these people really seem to be very angry at women.
It's either they're very angry or
Very angry at women as people.
they don't understand us at all, which it's mind-boggling because,
Yeah.
we had the birth control debates 50, 60 years ago, actually going back way before that, but,
Oh, yes.
before the Supreme Court ruled
Right.
on it. Using, religion as a reason not to provide contraception
Right.
and healthcare services to women, that kind of blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me.
know.
There's no attack on religion. There's an attack on women's rights and well-being and our health.
Yes.
And they don't care if women die, is what it seems like. There are reasons, medical reasons for a woman
Right.
to have an abortion. There are medical reasons to be on birth control.
But it's
There are health reasons, scientifically backed reasons, and they just don't care.
It's been couched so carefully in terms of freedom, liberty, and attacks on Christianity.
Yeah.
Attacks on Christian religion. It's like what Darrell Issa had his committee in front of Congress, and the opening act was what, they were all male.
All men. There was
Yeah.
not a single female allowed
Right.
in there, and that why? Maybe we have women in
Yeah.
Congress. We have women legislators. We obviously need more.
Right.
But why? Why do these men get to sit there and decide? Who I think who's in their pocket that's telling them
Yeah.
this needs to be done. You
Yeah.
know.
Now, how did you personally become involved with this issue?
I've been following this for a while. I'm very pro-choice. I believe in women's rights issues. Actually, the contraception issue really hit me personally because of my little sister and her health problems.
Yeah.
It was something that I just thought, that this is ridiculous. This is her opportunity to have her health insurance
Right.
cover something that could save her life.
Yeah.
And because these politicians or groups decide that it's not okay or it offends their morals, it may not happen.
Yeah.
The more I started reading into it and looking at all these cases, like the woman in Mississippi who tried to commit suicide and now she's on trial for murder.
That's just horrendous.
That's horrendous.
That just boggles the mind. I just can't
It
go
almost
over that.
makes you sick because it's that. I mean, is this America? Or, the evangelicals here in this country are they're looking a lot like the Taliban or something. It's,
Yeah.
You can't use religion to oppress people and expect, especially in a free country like this, expect us just to sit here quietly. It's not going to happen.
Yes. Now, we started talking, you're with this movement.
Yes, Unite Against the War on Women. We have a website, unitewomen.org, and we have a Facebook event page right now for Northwest Arkansas, all of Arkansas. We have one in Little Rock, one in Jonesboro, Texarkana, and here in Northwest Arkansas, April 28th, we're going to be holding a demonstration, a march, and a rally downtown Fayetteville.
Right.
We'll begin down in front of the Walton Arts Center. We'll end up at the Fayetteville Square. We've got a bunch of guest speakers lined up. We have some local politicians actually and legislators who are coming to speak, and we're going to be working. One of our main goals here is actually working on getting the ERA passed here in Arkansas, which is long overdue.
Yes, yes, they've been trying to get that passed forever.
Yeah, it was introduced, I think, by Alice Paul in 1923.
Yes.
You know, she was tortured and put in prison and everything else, you know, fighting for this, and it's just kind of gone under the radar for so long, and you know, it's time. We need 3 states to ratify it. Arkansas is one of them. We've got a long list of legislators. I think it's on Blue Arkansas blog online. They have a list of 18 or 19 right now that are signing on to help us get this passed.
Now, you've had a lot of support for this. A lot of people have come forward and say this is a great idea, and this is great. This is going to be in Fayetteville. But some cities just have just been really cold to the idea of a march being in their city, haven't they?
They have. Fayetteville City has been amazing. They, you know, how can we help you?
Yeah.
This is great. You know, we're actually working on a proclamation to be issued from Mayor Lionel Jordan's office regarding women's rights, and we're bringing it to Rogers and Springdale and all the surrounding cities. And Bentonville, their city, basically told us no.
Really?
They didn't want anything to do with it, and it's a non-binding proclamation. It just basically states they support equal rights for women, and I'm very bothered by this because why would you be against that? Like, I don't understand Bentonville's, I guess, logic on just saying no. You know, Fayetteville, it was, you know, a no-brainer for them. They were like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's strange. I mean, the difference from Fayetteville even just to Bentonville, the attitudes are kind of different. So.
I wouldn't want to even hazard a guess. You know, Doonesbury did some cartoons about the issue.
Yes.
Of late, and actually, a lot of newspapers refused to carry it.
Yeah, some of them are very. They're calling them controversial, but I've looked at some of them, and one of them that they refused to run is about the transvaginal ultrasound bill in Pennsylvania, and it basically states what Pennsylvania is doing. So if these newspapers have a problem running the paper, then they should have a problem with the content of what's actually happening.
Yeah. Now, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, to its credit, ran the cartoons.
Yeah.
Actually, the governor of Pennsylvania, he was at a press conference. He said, "Well, you know, women don't have to look at the screen. I guess it's like that seems to me that there's a leap there because they really don't see. They don't see what the problem is.
No, they don't understand it. It's like there's a bill being debated in Georgia right now where basically women will be forced to carry fetuses, even stillborn fetuses, to term. And when they were debating this, there was a man, I think his name's Terry England. He was on, you know, the House floor there, comparing women to pigs and cows and farm animals, and saying that pigs and cows can carry stillborns to term, so women should be able to too. And I mean that's how far and how crazy this discussion has gotten. We're being compared to livestock.
That should be like the tipping point right there. That's how offensive it is. A remark like that should be like spread far and wide because that is so offensive.
Right, and most people have no idea. They haven't heard about it till maybe today.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the country should know this guy's name and what he said because that is just so horrific. But that is how a lot of men. I'm telling you, that's how a lot of men see women. Yeah,
and it's you know, that may have worked. Well, actually, it didn't work 50 or 100 years ago because women every single time, you know, they come up against women's rights issues, we tend to, as women, get together.
Yeah.
We rally harder. We work harder, and it's like right now, like I said, it's like gasoline on a fire. You know, Rush Limbaugh's comments called one woman a slut, and now we're all fired up and ready to go, you know.